What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another War Thunder video. Today we're taking a look at the P-47M. This is a premium American fighter at a battle rating of 5.3. First thing I want to get out of the way is this is not footage of the current flight model. The bulk of the footage that you'll see in this video is from patches 1.53 and 1.55. I wanted to talk a little bit about how the plane was and how it currently stands and what I think of the whole thing. The P-47M was introduced back in May of 2015, exactly 1 year ago. The plane was amazing, simply put. The only plane it had a really big problem with was the Focke-Wulf D-13. And frankly, most planes will, because it is, after all, one of, if not the best prop in the game, and has been for quite some time. The problem with the P-47 was, at least compared to the D-13, was that, of course, at low altitude. At low altitude, the D-13 is phenomenal, while the P-47M, as well as all P-47s, struggle at low altitudes. The engine is fine-tuned for high-altitude performance, not low-altitude performance. As far as me personally, I very rarely encountered a D-13. I had a couple of run-ins at low altitude in which I couldn't perform nearly at that sort of level, but that was to be expected, and it was my own fault for getting in that situation. But at high altitude, I actually found myself being able to compete against the Doors pretty well. Slightly after the introduction, the P-47 received a small ninja nerf that most people never noticed, and I don't think was ever reported in the official patch notes. I noticed it's just a little bit more sluggish, not worth not worth doing a video on, certainly. But then several months goes by and patch 1.57 comes out, and all the P-47Ms perform differently. Not just because of the engine fine-tuning that was introduced because of the thermodynamics, but the flight models themselves were different. The P-47M specifically had a lot more drag everywhere. Everything felt slower. Everything felt sluggish. The climbing, just flying around, just turning, just small, everything felt sluggish and slow. And sure enough, you go into the flight model files, which are encrypted initially. You have to use some decryption software. You have to use Python, actually, to decrypt the files, and then you can see the flight model information. And I have to thank Mike for helping me on this over at Reddit. He helped me through some instant messages and helped me decode these stupid flight model files. And what I discovered was everything had been changed. And I don't mean literally everything, of course, but just so many settings, though. Like a lot of very important settings have been changed. And one of the most interesting one was the weight of the plane had been changed. The P-47M between 1.55 and 1.57 gained 293 kilograms in weight. Why this weight gain, I have no idea. No sources were cited. And that's really strange, though, because Gaijin has in recent months been getting very good at citing resources, or their sources for why they change certain flight models, or they change a tank's gun or a tank's armor. If you remember the Conqueror Mark II, when it had some armor flaws, they did a full-page write-up with photos from the Bovington Tank Museum, where they had gotten armor thicknesses for Gaijin, and it was really awesome. You could see that they had gone through a lot of detail to get this information from the museum, and then to get that information into their game, making it as historically accurate as possible. Was really awesome. It was really interesting to see all that happen. And yet, when 1.57 came out, there was no mention whatsoever of the P-47M or any of the P-47s getting a flight model change. There were no sources cited. There was no mention whatsoever of anything. It was just like, here's the plane. You log in one day and you fly this out, and you're like, what the hell happened to the P-47M? It's just not the same plane anymore. It's so slow, so sluggish compared to how it was in 1.55. And so a lot of people started writing Gaijin on the forums as well as on Reddit, asking others, are you guys experiencing this as well? And yeah, it was pretty much universal. Everyone noticed the flight model change had been there with the P-47M, and yet there was no acknowledgement whatsoever from Gaijin. So eventually they had to address it. You know, they had flight model designers look at it, and they said, well, we had a few people look at it, and they even mentioned they had Messerschmitt look at it, and he said that there was no difference. I thought, what the hell? This isn't right. That's bullshit. I know Messerschmitt a lot better than that, and there's no way he's going to say there's no difference in between the two flight models. No way. But sure enough, the flight model designers say, well, yeah, we noticed something here with the rudder, and yeah, we'll change it. And so they issued a patch on March 24th. And their patch notes say P-47 series effect of losing speed by active use of rudder has been decreased. That's all they mentioned. There's no sources cited. Nothing. What? This is just getting silly to me. It's like Gaijin is getting extremely lazy, or they just don't want to. They just don't want to acknowledge their sources. And I don't understand why. When you don't acknowledge your sources, what you're doing is you're getting those people who claim Russian bias all the time, you know, and say secret documents, right? And you're basically giving them credence when you don't give them the sources that you're referring to. Like, where did they get the idea to add 293 kilograms of weight? Obviously, this had to come from some sort of source. They didn't just make this out of thin air, right? I hope. I mean, come on. Secret documents, and Russian bias, and all that bullshit. I don't really believe in a whole lot. But you just give these guys so much ammunition to work with, and it hurts your credibility as a game designer, as a game developer. If you don't cite your sources like this, you know, when you're talking about historical planes, historical tanks, whatever you happen to be dealing with here. So as far as the flight model changed, was there much of a difference between the patch that was released on March 24th and say the patch that initially introduced these flight model changes? Honestly, I would have to say yes. There was a big difference. It was a big improvement. It sort of unnerfed the P-47M's flight model differences, but it's still a pig of a plane. It is still not anywhere where it was at 1.53 or 1.57. The P-47M, as it currently exists in the game as of 1.57, it has problem at high speeds in terms of its maneuverability, its ability to get guns on target. The rudder stiffens up extensively. The elevator does as well. The plane is heavier. Remember, it received almost 300 kilograms in additional weight. Almost every movement you make now with the P-47M feels like it's being dragged down by something. You know those funny cars that you see on ESPN here in the U.S. Where after the race they have that parachute that shoots out the end to slow them down at the end of the race. That's kind of like how you feel when flying the P-47M. It's like you're being slowed down by something. Like almost your combat flaps are open, or you got your air brakes going, or whatever. You know, it seems really weird compared to how it used to be. And I have to say, when I'm facing a P-47M, I'm no longer afraid of it. I'm not afraid of it's being able to get its gun on me. I'm not afraid of it being able to dive on me. At certain speeds, the P-47M used to be able to outturn 109s. I don't think there's a chance in hell the P-47M can do that now. It is really slow in the turn, any sort of turn, small turns at any speed. And so whether or not these changes are based on historical data, I don't know. Because the weight change, I have not been able to personally verify that weight change with any document that I've been able to find online. So if it is based on actual historical data, I haven't been able to find it myself. I'd love to see Gaijin release documents on why the P-47M flies the way it does. Is it based on historical information? If so, release it. Because right now it just feels like it just got nerfed just because it was such a good plane. And unless you release that sort of historical information, I have no reason to believe otherwise. And to make matters worse, this is a premium plane, so people spent $30 on this thing. And if there were a way, I would ask for my money back. I would ask for a refund. I would love to see the P-47M back to its old flight model. I don't care if I'm flying as in the P-47M or I'm flying against the P-47M. it felt like like an actual competitor for American in Tier 4. Because between the P-51 Mustang and the Bearcat, there is really not much in the Americans' fighter arsenal that can compete with other planes like the K-4, the D-13, the D-9, the D-12, all of the Lavochkins. Certainly not with the N-1K or the T-84s. There's really not a whole lot that can honestly compete with those planes for American at Tier 4. So if you're interested in buying the P-47M, I would presently hold off. I would not buy it. If they ever make it like it used to be, like it was a really good plane, I would totally recommend it. If they move the flight model back to where it was at 1.55, but added in the thermodynamics stuff and and all that, and that's fine. I would recommend this plane in a heartbeat. But as it stands right now, I would not recommend it. Now, for those of you who are interested in seeing the flight model files that I mentioned earlier, I'm going to upload them to a service. I'll put a link in the video description below, so that you can look at the flight model files and you can compare and contrast them all you want. It's a little bit difficult to directly compare them because their formats have changed slightly in the two patches, but you can slowly go through there and you can see that there are a lot of values have been changed. It's not the same plane, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here today. I've talked about this plane enough. I just get frustrated thinking about this P-47M and how good it used to be compared to how it is today. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.